Hey,
Hey, welcome,
hello everybody.
welcome, joining, dating God's way. Click and share, click and like, click and love, click and live. You shall live and not die, and declare the works of the Lord. Amen. Click and love, click and like, click and live. Whatever you do, click, click, click,
Click, click, click.
click, click.
Hey, y'all.
As you all come into the room, thank you for joining us tonight. I think we have a exciting topic to speak on.
Y'all, I think it's exciting. So exciting that I bought my popcorn. That's how exciting I think tonight's topic is going to be.
So as
I'm
we
back. Hey, Red. Hey there.
as you all come into the room,
Shalashell. Tiana. Hey, everybody. Come on in the room. Tonight is going to be interesting. Pastor Will's topic tonight, y'all. So it's going to be popping. I got it right one. I got it right. I got it right. You like it. Hey, Cavante. Hey. I am not. Guess what? I put Obey season on it too. I'm not sharing my popcorn. This is my snack for today.
oh, Pastor E not sharing today. Yeah. So yeah, hey, thank y'all for hanging in with us in our Dating God's Way episodes. It's been really fun, really enlightening. Thank you guys so much, and thank you guys for keep joining week after week after week after week on the Tuesday nights. But look, yo, we're gonna keep it going, but the COVID restrictions are being lifted, especially for those that have received the vaccination. So, congratulations to you guys that have been vaccinated, and they are opening stuff up again for you all to spend your money. Um, they want you in those restaurants and they want you in those businesses, and they want you all spending that money. So yeah, so bless you guys as you guys get back out and you start taking your dates out and your dates start taking you out. Y'all can go vaccinated. Amen.
Hey, dating God's way.
Dating God's way. Y'all can date God's way vaccinated, right? And
Lord.
yeah, you can hit the restaurants, you can hit the crowd. Just bring me something back if you don't mind, because I'm not going out.
Not right now.
Not right now. I don't know if I'm gonna go out ever now. I don't know. I think I done got into a mode now, Pastor E. I done got into a mode. The takeout food sounds great. Yeah, so I done got into this whole mode now. So you know, thank God for new behaviors and new habits.
All right. Yes.
I feel more healthier than I felt in years. I haven't had a cold or the flu or pneumonia or nothing like that. Because because we are more conscious about what we do as we go out into the public and how we interact and everything like that. And so because of some of the more enhanced habits that we have, it's more than just washing hands and stuff like that, right? It's also, being mindful, especially like during when COVID first started. I'm segueing here. When COVID first started, we actually did a food handlers course, right? Remember that?
Yeah.
And that guy really gave us really what goes behind the scenes in some of these kitchens that we typically eat at, and some of those hygiene behaviors that goes on. You wouldn't even think about it. You just getting your food, but you never think about where the chef been or where anybody that's around your food, where they've been throughout their whole day. So the food handlers class was really, really, really eye popping. It was really eye opening. I can't hear you. You on mute?
Oh no, I'm talking to David.
Oh,
Go ahead.
cool. All right.
Wait for you to, yes.
All right. So with that said, don't mean to segue from dating God's way. Tonight,
Yes,
tonight we're going to talk about, sometimes when you in your dating phases, as you begin to what we consider coupling, you consider coupling. You hang around a person a lot. You be with them a lot. And then as you get into, I don't know if you date for a matter of months to years, especially when you get into the marriage states. You come to a point where you may find yourself has lost your individuality, right? You may have you may hit a brick wall about your identity, about who you are, because you put so much effort and so much energy into having the relationship and bringing some definition into a relationship, which is really good. But at the same time, you lose what I consider you lose parts of yourself in the middle of developing this relationship. And then a point in time will come and you find out, wow, who you lost your identity. You don't know who you are, especially after you get married. You have a husband, you have a wife. Now you got kids, you got in-laws, and everything becomes about everybody else except you, right? And you may find yourself neglected or whatever it may be. I got to pass E. I got to share because I got it. So you may find yourself neglected or anything like that. So with that said, that's my little spiel. That's my little intro. Pastor, you wanna intro it in?
No, you did a great job introing. That was great. And our topic tonight, and then there is me, how to make sure that we know me before that we really have a great sense of the me before we get to the we. So I think that it's a great segue, Pastor Will.
Cool. So let's talk about it a little bit, right? So I remember Pastor E. It's a little bit of transparency. As our relationship developed, because we were on a fast track, right? We dated, we became friends. I realized I needed to marry you, and so we dated. We engaged.
With a revelation, Pastor Will.
We got married, and we did all of that with I think the only time that we did not talk to each other was the night before our wedding.
That's right.
Right. And so we developed this, fast growing hyper relationship, all consistently talking, always been with each other. And we got married. And then a couple of years passed, I think up until when Kaylin was born, when I started feeling like, who am I? Right.
Yeah.
I went through it wasn't an identity crisis, but it was a little mini, trying to identify who I am or who I was, right? So before Pastor E, I had all these things going on. I was playing baseball, I was playing softball, I was in bands. I always was in the band. I always established a band, whether it was a go-go band or a Christian band or gospel, praise and worship. I don't know. Hey, Mom Vanessa, I was always doing something. And then when I met E, most of something went by the wayside, and then all of something went by the wayside. And all of my energy became about building our relationship, building the marriage, and now a baby is here. And now we came about, taking care of our oldest, our firstborn.
Yeah, I think an important point to make too, though, Pastor Will, is during that time period, you made a huge life shift too spiritually. That you really, during the course of our dating, engagement, marriage, that your life took a big shift too from a spiritual perspective, right? And so there were things that were happening with you that were not necessarily about the relationship, that there were your own things that you were going through, transformative processes, and your spiritual relationship with God, your career. There were individual things happening with you that were not inclusive of the relationship. Wouldn't you agree with that, Pastor Will?
I would agree with that.
Yeah. And so I think that's why it's important, you know, as we go to our first slide, it's important. It's important to talk about staying compatible with yourself. You know, when we talk about compatibility, we often talk about compatibility from the standpoint of being compatible with another person, right? Like, you know, as I was stating, Pastor Will at this time was going through his own process, and that some of these processes you will go through and you should go through in the dating stage, right? There's an amount of me work that has to happen during the dating stage to make sure that I have compatibility with myself, not compatibility with another person. So the definition of this that we're talking about right now is when people are in a healthy and confident individual state, they are happier, more optimistic. They have a stronger sense of themselves, so they are capable of more intimacy, love, and passion in their relationship. Yeah. So compatibility starts with how compatible am I with me?
Yeah. This is a great question, right? Because it's something that, you know, here's something that you don't often think about is how compatible am I with myself? Do I like me?
Do I like me? Do I like who I am? Do I like who I'm becoming? Do I like the person that God has designed me to be or designing me to be?
Yeah. And am I doing the things, or am I operating in the manner that fit who I am?
Yeah. And you know, so, go ahead, Pastor.
No, I'm just comparing it to me, since I'm a guy, you know, I'm just comparing it. It's like, you know, if a Mercedes-Benz don't fit me, don't fit my personality, it don't fit. Because like when you buy a Mercedes-Benz, you got to keep it clean all the time. The rims got to be popping. You know, that car got to be shining. You can't walk. You should not be driving around in a dirty Benz. I'm sorry. So I will not get a Benz because I'm not compatible with it.
There's a certain expectation of having a certain type of car.
Right.
Yes, there's a certain expectation.
Right. So but these are you compatible with are you doing the things that's compatible, or are you just doing things to keep up with the Joneses, or doing things to keep up with the trend, you know?
Things other people like. Other people like you doing these things. Other people think you're these things, right? You know, the one question that just asked, are you confident with yourself? That's it. So it's not really until you get to this state of healthy, confident individual state that you're really capable of more intimacy, capable of really opening yourself up to love, capable of having that passion in a relationship. If I can have some transparency, Pastor Will,
go for it.
When we, you know, went through that season where you was like figuring things out and all the things, whatever, you know, our intimacy and like, you know, some of our love and passion suffered a little bit. Because at that moment, we're trying to figure out what's going on. The individual state of either one of us in some periods of time took us out of a place of being capable of having that level of, you know, more intimacy, more love, more passion, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that that's an important, you know, staying compatible with yourself starts with dating, but doesn't end there.
Right.
It starts with dating, but this is something that goes throughout the marital time.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, you know, I think, you know, especially as a guy, I would say, you know, before asking me to take you to all the exclusive steak places and the restaurants and all of us, everything else, do you take your own self there before a guy gets around or before the young lady gets around?
Yes.
Would you do that for your own self?
Yes.
You know, because what happens is when you find yourself doing stuff for people, you find yourself operating in a place where you might not even like yourself, but you're just doing it to keep that person happy. True or not true?
Yeah, I think that's a great point that you're making, Pastor Will, because, you know, prior to me and you getting married, I love treating my own self. Okay. Treating my own self to vacation. Okay. Treating my own self to nice dinner. Okay. And so the expectation was not something that I was unwilling to still do for myself. And I think that's an important point that you make. We both got our windows open. You know, I think that's an important point that you make is having that compatibility with yourself also allows you to, you know, doing things that are consistent with who you are, not things that are consistent with, you know, what you've seen in a movie, which we're about to get into in a few minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. Go next. Next.
Yeah. Okay. So, you guys, what we really talk about is a grown-up relationship. A grown-up relationship consists of I, you, and we. See, Pastor Will, what had happened was most people want to go straight to we before they address I and you.
Exactly. Exactly.
I and you come before we.
Yes.
And it has to start with that foundation of, now I hear some people saying, but is it relationships about sacrifice and all these? Let me tell you this now. Even from a biblical sense, when we look at love from a biblical sense, that a person, what does it say, Pastor Will? You're gonna love the Lord your God with all your heart, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you're going to do what else? You're going to love your neighbors as yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I is still included in the we.
You know, I think the real religious people, they're going to say, well, isn't that selfish? Isn't that only thinking about yourself? Isn't that only thinking about me and my, and, isn't that something? And, as you stated out in the scripture, love yourself, love your neighbor as you would love yourself.
That's correct.
So I has to take some focus on I.
Yes, I have to have the right perspective of loving myself before I can adequately love others. I have to have the right approach about love from an overall that I love myself enough to keep myself healthy, to keep myself in a place of relationship with God. I love myself enough. I have enough convictions for myself, about myself, so I don't have to have the expectation that Pastor Willie got to do it for me, because I know that I must do something for myself.
Yeah. And so I think a lot of times, if you was to put this, because I was helping Kaylin with linear equations and properties, exponential properties. And I think a lot of times when we was to put the I, you, and we in a formula, we would cross I out to cancel it out to make it zero. because we often do. And that's what I did, right? When we got together, it was about you, and then quickly became about we.
Oh yeah.
And I crossed out I, but what I didn't know was that, or what I didn't realize or never realized was that I was going to come back years later.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Yes. It was 4 years until we had Caitlin.
That's right.
You know, and it was after 4 years is when here comes I wanted to show up to the party now.
Yeah. When to be, you know, a little bit transparent is like, I always wanted Pastor Will to do softball and bowling and stuff. And
no.
Like, yes, I did. No. Oh, yes, I did.
Not in them days. Not in them days.
I always told you needed an outlet.
Okay, I'm gonna go with you on this one. Okay.
I always told you that you needed an outlet in the beginning because, let me tell you how I know this is true. Because I used to hang out with my girlfriends. Even in that day, I started back to the hangout.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Yes, that's true.
But I made you hang out with your girlfriend.
This is it. The neglect of I for we never works. Because at some point, as you said, I comes back up.
It does, exactly.
Yes,
and that's the point you get into.
The truth is, I needed your permission. Because once we became we, I didn't know what that meant. So yes, I needed your permission that it was okay.
I need my permission, but yes, okay.
I did. For me, I'd never been married before.
Well, that's true. Me neither. It was. I didn't even read the book. It was a collision waiting to happen somewhere. I was ready to mess this whole thing up because that's what eyes do.
That's what eyes do. Yeah.
When they go unnoticed, eyes ruin everything.
Yeah, when eyes are not in a healthy state, excuse me. Spade is me. When eyes is not in a healthy individual state, then that eye can ruin we.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we learn how to be in a grown-up relationship. I mean, I behoove you to learn now. Do not do like me and Pastor Will and wait till marriage to figure this out. Okay, this is what they tell you on TV. This is not advised. Do not do this at home. Okay.
Yeah.
Be in a healthy state of an individual state. Let's keep going past that.
All right. So, wow, fantasy bonds, trauma bonds. Oh.
So what happens when you're not in a healthy state? You form different types of bonds with people.
Ouch.
You can have a fantasy bond or a trauma bond.
So what's the fantasy bond?
Yeah. So the fantasy bond is about when you have a idea of relationship that most likely comes from a fantasy of a union. So you are thinking of illusions and different movies or different patterns, attachment patterns that you have received through movies and or your parental and or all the things you do want to do or don't want to do. But it's from a space of illusion and fantasy, right?
Right. Your fantasy bond is a fantasy because you've been looking at a lot of the Hallmark Channel and see how everybody's in love and that's the way you want your relationship to be. And so when that person comes around, you kind of start to model your thoughts around the Hallmark Channel and this whole having this fantasy relationship that you're trying to build not based on the I, you, or we, but based on what's the fantasy that lives here.
Yeah, and you often, when you see this, Pastor Will, you often see that people that do this, the fantasy of being in love takes the place of the actions of actually expressing love. Right? The fantasy of being in love. Oh, we're in love. Oh, yes. You know, you're the person for me, takes the place of, right? And I remember this when we were dating, you know, we did do a quick fast in a hurry. And one of the things that I was glad that we kept coming back to is this something that we really want to do? Not just God said, but also, do you really, do you, Ebony? Yeah. Are you willing to commit to what it takes to make the decision of love over and over?
Yeah.
Because we had the feeling of love down. My goodness. I mean, really? We had that.
Yeah.
We had that down. Right?
Yeah. And I'll say this, you know, even though I was reared in a stable home, mom and dad married and all my life and everything, even to model a marriage after that, after their relationship, is a fantasy.
That's correct. Right? Yeah. It's an image. Yeah.
It's an image. It's a fantasy. It's like, oh, well, I can have that. No, I can't have that. Because I am not them, and Pastor E, you're not them either.
No, right? That's their thing. Mm-hmm.
That's their thing. And so I think it was good to have to be in a home that was that modeled marriage, yes.
Yeah.
But that love relationship, for me to model that love relationship, is fantasy.
Yeah.
Right? And not based on the real I, you, and we.
Yeah. Grown
right?
up.
It was based on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you find that when people go into relationships with a fantasy of a union, it's really their insecurities, their hurts, and their unresolved issues with the past that really start to bring them into this place of, you know, furthering the fantasy, because they won't deal with those I issues. Okay. Insecure issues, hurt issues, past issues, family issues, because they're not dealing with those I issues, then they rather be in a fantasy.
And let me help y'all. Whenever somebody come up to you and try to breathe a lie in your ear about, oh, y'all gonna be a power couple, or y'all gonna be a powerful couple, and then all this other, the kind of couple y'all gonna be, it's fantasy.
It's fantasy. Y'all gonna be a couple, they gotta do a lot of work to stay together. Let me say about it.
Amen.
Hallelujah. That's the type of couple you're gonna be.
Yeah. Yeah.
That has to put that work in. There's no amount of love, let me just give it to you, that don't take work.
Yeah.
Even, listen here, y'all want to talk? Go ahead, let's get spiritual. Even with the love that Jesus gave to us, he had to give. He gave himself. So there is no amount of love that's going to take away your responsibility to give.
Yeah.
To have to give something. So yeah, there's no fantasy. So that's the fantasy bond, Pastor Will.
All right. And then let's talk about, so what is this trauma bond?
So you see that people also make trauma bonds. This actually is something that it has been explosive during the pandemic, because people have collectively been going through some traumas of like being alone, you know, all of these different things that, you know, everybody is facing. Family members having COVID, they have COVID themselves. Like, there's a lot of traumas that people have been going through, right? And so when you see those types of things, one of the things that'll let you know, like the connection happens through the a trauma. And so in other words, we start to connect through this time period of like things that are happening, right? Stress, you know, all of these motivating behaviors that's coming from traumatic experiences that I've had. So I start connecting with someone who also has trauma, who also identifies with that type of pain and hurt and all of those things that have happened. So that's when we find trauma bonding, Pastor Will, is when we start to connect with people based on hurt, pain, abuse, that we start connecting with something familiar in that space. And we can find ourselves in a trauma bond. And there are, some things that can show you, when a trauma bond is forming is, when you have an extreme fear of leaving the relationship, right? You feel like that's the only one person that could fulfill your needs, right? Like you make huge life changes for a relatively new relationship. You feel like, you need to, at all costs, I need to like make this work, not be eyes wide open. Those are some symptoms that it could be a trauma bond. Things move in an accelerated pace with no thought of, okay, wait a minute. Let me at least think through what are the things that are present. Those are symptoms of trauma bonding.
That's good, Pastor. It reminds me when we watched Ayala Fix My Life the other night, we just took a glimpse at it. But it wasn't a man and woman, but it was two sisters had this trauma bond where the mom messed up. The mom was or she was a substance abuser, right? That's right. And the older sister pretty much took care of the younger sister, and they formed this trauma bond. But the older sister was scared to move on with her life because the younger sister was a substance abuser too. And so the trauma that they face with the mom and being molested and everything like that, now the older sister feel like her life can't move on because this sister need her so much, and that she kind of feels stuck in there and in her life. And this is what these trauma bonds do.
Yeah.
It's if I we bond through your trauma, and because trauma, when somebody let you into their trauma, they letting you into a really vulnerable place.
Sure.
But that vulnerable place could also be a trap, an unknown trap in this, and your heart becomes in it, their heart becomes in it, and all of a sudden you're trapped in the trauma, and you feel like you can't, oh my gosh, if I leave them now, they're going to go overboard.
Yeah. If I leave them now, what's going to happen? What's going to happen to me? What's going to happen to them? Exactly. All of that is really a trauma bond. When we have to be worried about somebody's life falling apart if we're not there, if we're worried about what someone may do if they're not there, what may happen to me if they're not there, all of those things are trauma bonding, right? Especially during the dating phase, that is trauma bonding. And very dangerous, even let's just talk about even in Pastor Will, a marital relationship. Yeah. I think that also has to be caution with that as well, because when you have someone who is like you and I are in a relationship together, it's important that I don't make you everything, right? I don't make you, I'm not going to be able to keep it together if you don't meet my need today, because I'm having a really bad day and I need you to shut everything down. That happening maybe one time, but that happening continually means that there's an unhealthy bond that even a person can connect with a spouse. And so it becomes too needy, too I need. All of those things can be dangerous in a relationship, and it can be a space where there's been trauma bonding even within a marriage, Pastor Will.
Yeah. I think, and when we see things like this, and when we notice things, especially in a marriage, when we notice things like this, there definitely has to be a God solution.
Oh, yes.
Because only God can heal those traumas. Your spouse can't. Your spouse can be a soundboard. They can be a punching bag. They 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 could be any of those things, but they will never be the healing that you need over the
They can
trauma.
never be a solution.
It can never be the solution.
No.
And so even as you are in the individual state, whether you're married or unmarried, it takes the power of God to really heal traumas in your life.
Yes. Because anything else becomes toxic. The other person doesn't feel like they can breathe. The other person feels like they're just so sucked into, right? And Pastor Will, I think that's important too, is like learning how to have the I and be healthy in the I state. When you're in a relationship, dating or marriage, when you have healthiness in your I state, you also can have when trauma does happen, you both can stay healthy in how you approach trauma together.
Absolutely.
When something happens that is traumatic, we're not bonding around the trauma. We're receiving healing in that state. So we're not looking for each other to be the solution to the trauma, which happens in a lot of relationships.
Yeah.
Too much dependency.
Absolutely. That was good, Pastor E. So how do I maintain individuality in a relationship? But I think, did you want to answer Tara's question first? Because she went back some minutes.
Yeah, but do you want to answer it when we answer questions?
Okay, let's do that.
Okay. Finish our foundation a little bit first.
Okay. So how do I maintain individuality in a relationship, right? Because it's kind of tricky, because now I'm in a relationship, but now you telling me I got to maintain, and I know when you're going into a relationship, you be like, man, I'm all in, we trying to get this thing popping, we trying to get this thing going, we got a destiny that we trying to complete, and we destined to be together.
Oh my!
We living out our divine purpose together as a union. Ooh. So what you mean I gotta maintain individuality as I'm entertaining a relationship, right? But this is important for many of the reasons that me and Pastor E stated earlier about having individuality and maintaining your individuality. It's not about being selfish, but it's about being the best you that you can be within a relationship.
Yes, bringing your best self to a relationship. And you can't bring your best self if you haven't taken care of yourself. Right. If you are not taking care of yourself and you don't know the answer to some of these questions, that is going to create a space where you may be unhealthy and have unhealthy dependencies and or unhealthy isolation in the relationship. Yeah. Right? Because I think, Pastor Will, that we had our moments of unhealthy dependency and unhealthy isolation within our marriage early on.
Absolutely.
We have both and at times. Unhealthy dependencies and unhealthy isolation.
Absolutely.
So it's important that to maintain individuality, you got to ask yourself these questions. What's important to me?
What is important to me? Do you know what's important to you?
Yeah. What do you care about? Now, let me tell you right now, it's some things that I cared about. I was not compromising on whatsoever. And that's important to know for yourself, but also to be able to communicate to the other person.
But here is the individuality part of it. What's important to you doesn't have to be important to me.
Absolutely does not.
It's your thing.
It's my thing.
And it has to be your thing.
Because it's individually me.
Absolutely.
I love being loud, y'all. Till this day, I still love it. And Pastor Will, look, he likes being more quieter. He likes being more reserved. He will get into talking mode, but he don't stay there long. Okay?
But here's the compatibility piece about this though. I was watching this video today, and these young people, they was yelling at this dude. I like commotion. I don't like to be involved in it. like if I'm riding down the street, especially like around like the Minnesota Avenue area where like everybody out on the street.
This some DC style.
Like I roll down the window because I like loud people. I like listening to them. You know, I don't like to be loud. So your being loud is really I don't want to say entertaining, but in some ways it's entertaining. It's good for me. I don't mind it. I like it.
That's some DC stuff if I ever heard it, y'all. That is Pastor Will grew up in DC type stuff right there. But that was important for me not to lose that. You know, before Pastor Willie came to my house, meaning my family home, before we were married, I already told him what to expect. We gonna be loud. We not arguing, but it's gonna seem like we arguing. It's gonna be clapping hands, jumping over stuff. It's gonna be a lot of stuff happening at this house, y'all. And I didn't prepare him in a way to say, and I need you to be able to adapt. I prepared him in a way to say, this is what it is. This ain't, we're not changing. We're not changing. I didn't ask my family to change because my perspective was coming. I wanted him to know exactly what he was getting himself into because that's me and my family. And that's a healthy state of individuality. This is what you got. This us.
Yeah, I think one of the things that was really important to me was family and like family reunions, family get-togethers, anything family related. I'm all in. I'm always there and everything. And but that was what was important to me. You know, and oh my goodness, if anything conflicted with family reunion, that just made me angry. It made me upset, and I did not like not going to family reunion. That was important to me, right?
It was important to you. That's right. Sense of family. That's what was important to you. Sense of family, right? Yeah. So what thoughts and feelings are worth protecting?
Yeah.
Right.
This is good.
And I think this is a great one. You know, some of the ways in which, you know, I think that we thought and felt about what marriage would look like, I think was worth protecting on both ends. I had some really strong convictions about not being our people. We not going to be your parents. We're not going to be my grandparents. We ain't going to be nobody we saw being married before. That was worth protecting, right? Yeah. That idea was worth protecting.
And, you know, to me, when I look at what thoughts and feelings are worth protecting, is like, what thoughts and feelings are those thoughts or feelings that cross the line? You know, that when they cross that line, is like, you know, I take really high offense to it, you know, because it's a conviction of mine, right?
Absolutely.
You know, those thoughts and feelings. But there are some thoughts and feelings I'm like, yeah, I thought a way about it, but I don't really care about it. You know, so, you know, if you think differently, and even if you're offended, I don't really care about that, you know, because that's not a big one. But there are some thoughts and feelings like, wait a minute, like, you just totally just crossed the line.
Yes, for example, cussing at each other.
Yes,
like that is a no, and no.
Calling names, you
know,
and no. Yeah, and so those are the things that for us, for me, those were worth protecting, and for you also, it was worth protecting. And so, and we never, not that we didn't want to compromise that, but that's just part of who we are.
Yeah.
Those things, part of who we are, those things, when those thoughts or feelings are crossed, they cut to our soul.
Yeah.
So, you know, and that's why we protect those things. And you have those things, those thoughts and feelings that when those lines are crossed, it cuts through your soul, and you know what they are. And so, but it's important for your individuality to know what those things are.
Yeah.
Because what you'll find that if you have a relationship and they cross that line, you're going to explode. And you had no reason, or you had no realization why you felt that way about that thing, because you really never thought about it, that, well, this is one of those lines that you crossed that we haven't communicated.
Yeah.
And it's part of my individual makeup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are my values? What are the things that I value?
Right.
What are some of the values that I have that will allow you, and write these things out, write them out. You know, what are the things that I really value? For example, I value quality time big time. So Pastor Will, he could be a homebody for real. He really can. But I really value time together, creating memories together. That's a big value. I really value that. And so what are the things that you value? And how do you bring that? I think one of my values, our values that we shared too, was divorce is never an option.
Absolutely.
So that's a value that we shared, that we went into the relationship talking about. Know your values. What friendships do I want to maintain?
Yeah.
So I think this was a big conversation for us. We both had friends of the opposite sex when we first met and was dating. And so the friendships, opposite sex and same sex, what are the friendships that I want to maintain individually? And from an individual standpoint, is an important conversation to have. And knowing individually what friendships are not good for me. Yeah.
And this is a conversation you need to have with yourself. Which friendships do you want to maintain? You know,
knowing that it might be some consequences.
Absolutely. Because you can't keep all your friends.
You cannot.
You can't. All your friends can't come into your marriage.
Yeah, they cannot handle that season of your life.
They cannot.
Some people just not gonna be able to handle it. And you got to be okay with that.
You got to be okay with that. All your friends can't be in your wedding party.
Yeah.
Some of them don't even agree with you getting married.
That's correct. Some of them don't even respect the union of marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's important.
What are my needs?
What are my needs? What are the things that I need that are essential for me? And knowing what those things are, and who provides them. You know, I still like a consistent hotel stay. Sometimes me and Pastor Will, sometimes me by myself. Because I need that. He don't need it. But I need it. I need to feel that sense of away. He doesn't always need that, right? So I need to individually own that I need that. Not make that now a we need. Yeah.
Next, what are the traditions or hobbies you want to keep? I want to keep.
Yeah.
You know, I think this one was really important to me, especially tradition and traditions and hobbies, and not throwing away everything that all of my interests. Or I did throw away all of my interests, right? But then when I had to come back to a place of building me again, I had to get back into what were some of the traditions and hobbies that I took part of. You know, and so I had to get back to those things, and those things really helped me in the relationship. You know, relationship was home for me to come back to after the hobbies and traditions were over and done with.
Yeah. And the last one is, am I always striving for personal satisfaction and happiness within myself?
Yeah.
So maintaining my individuality, am I striving for my personal markers that I have for myself, not from the relationship standpoint, but for my own self? You know, what is it going to take for me to have a good day today? That doesn't include my partner, that doesn't make my partner now responsible for making it happen. Just my own self. So that's important in maintaining individuality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's look at the over-dependent approach.
Yeah. So when I'm not maintaining individuality, I become over-dependent. And that looks like, instead of looking to myself, I look to my partner to figure out what I want or what I need. Right. I'm like, can you just tell me? I don't know. Can you just tell me? I don't really know what I want. You know, and we allow even things that our partner may want or need or think, we allow that to become the thing that we also start to, you know, take on, even though it's not really what we want or think or need.
I like the confidence to take care of myself or oneself, right?
Yeah.
You know, if I do this, it's going to break. Well, if I do this, it's not going to taste right. You know, if I do this, you know, I don't think I'm a good as enough person as my wife to do these things. So she got to take care of me. I lack that confidence to do for myself.
Yeah. I lack the confidence to take care of myself mentally, take care of myself physically. So I'm always looking for, you know, my partner to, you know, do the work, do my work, not our work. When I do marital counseling with couples, I always talk about that there's me work and we work. And, you know, that's one concept that most of the husbands really like. Okay. The husbands really like the me work, we work idea, but a lot of the women don't. I'm just be straight up. A lot of the wives have a hard time with me and we work because they think of marriage and relationships as a dependent relationship. They see it as no. Once we got married, all the work now is we work. And it's like, no, honey, you still have to do the me work, right? You have to have that confidence to still take care of self. Yeah. So another thing about the over-dependent approach is feeling powerless to make changes. Therefore, over-dependence on the partner sets in. Yeah. So when we have this over-dependent approach, we start feeling powerless to make any changes. To say, you know, what I really need right now is I need some space, right? And because I'm not willing to make that change, then I start to over-depend. Well, you know what? Because it's all too much anyway. And you making me do this and you making me do that. No. No one has you made a choice, right? Because you felt powerless to make a change.
Yeah. Or over-pleasing their partners, even when it feels wrong.
Yeah.
You know, me like something is going on and I'm trying to be it all for you.
Yeah.
Even though I know I can't be everything, I can't be half of anything, but yet I'm trying to cover everything and just overcompensating.
Yeah, I need to appease my partner even when it feels wrong to do. You know, I need to now appease my partner and please them, over please them with situations in my life, even when it feels wrong. That's like, it feels off. Why am I trying to please you with this instead of being honest with how I feel? Instead of being honest with what the truth is, now I'm trying to just please you. That's an over-dependent approach to a relationship.
Yeah.
So that is the me, we, look, what is it? I, me, we, and then there's me. That's what it is. And then there's me.
We.
And then there's me. I know Sarah said her question was answered, but in our last few minutes, tell us what you think. What did you think about this episode about And Then There's Me? What are some comments? What are your thoughts about this? Is this something you thought about before? Is this something you're going to give attention to? Is this something that you were already giving attention to? Let us know. Yes. Hit us up in the comments. Let us know. Is this an area that you have been awakened to, aware of before? And are you going to do anything different? Are you going to do anything different while dating God's way? And remembering, and then there is me. You know, one story I like to kind of end with, Pastor Will, is like, you know, Adam and Eve, the first man and woman, this was really an issue for them. Because, you know, Adam was given this, he was given this place of authority by God. God said it this way: it's not good for man to be alone. And so here comes Eve into this situation, right? Well, because Eve wasn't as confident in what God told them, she allowed the seducer to get in her ear and tell her something about her identity. That in that same token, she then conveys that to her husband, who she's in relationship with, and causes the biggest upset, was second biggest upset in the history of our history, you know? And I think that that's important, Pastor Will, to, because of her I issue, it caused the we issue, which caused an all of us issue. And that is how it works. That when we don't deal with I, it causes a we issue, which then can cause an issue for a lot of other people, your children, your family, your church. It can just become a whole thing, Pastor Will.
Yeah. You know, what do I have to say about that? As a kingdom believer, your identity will always be challenged. Who you are in God and who you are to yourself.
Yeah.
It will always be brought up in conversations. And the question will be, is that, you know, who will you be? Who will you be? Eve decided to be like God. That was her choice, right? That's what the enemy seduced her with. He seduced her with, he keeping you from this because he knows if you take this, then you're going to be like them.
Yeah.
So her identity mess up was pride. She ain't know who she was enough to be miraculously developed, miraculously made from the rib of a man.
Yeah. Yes.
Now, she was already somebody then.
She was already somebody. The first woman that was ever created. She was already somebody.
But now she want to be God. She want to be like who created her. And so see what happens when you lose who you are. When you lose the I, when you have no realization of who I am, anybody will come and tell you, well, then you need to be like that.
Yeah, you will let anybody talk. You will let anybody speak to your identity. The devil himself, anybody can speak to your identity when you're not secure in who you are.
Oh, well, you really speak. Well, you're a pastor. Well, you need to be. Y'all need to be like TD Jakes and Sarita. Because they, right? If I'm not secure in who I am, somebody will say something foolish like that.
Yeah.
Thinking that they're deep.
Yeah, thinking that they're helping you, but they really speaking you out of your identity and destiny.
Exactly. I'm sorry. That kind of just roused something up in me. I don't know. That just
That preacher talk. He like that, y'all. I know that about him. That preacher talk. I saw that preacher talk with him.
I don't know.
Them stories, Shy. He loved it. Yes. Yeah, I think this was a good episode. Thanks everybody who shared in the comments what you guys thought about the episode. And I think this was a good topic, Pastor Will, that you gave us tonight. And then there's me.
And then there's me. Hey, like I said, these topics come from a 21-year journey of being married, almost 21 years of being married, and the other years of just being saved and the individual,
dating and friends, yes.
I've did it so much the wrong way. I want to help you do it God's way.
Oh yes. We made mistakes for sure.
Yeah.
And our heart is that you can do it God's way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen. So God bless you guys. Thank y'all for joining us tonight as we start our little outro.
Hey, Miss Sandra, thank you. Happy
birthday,
girl. Yes. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Yes. Oh man, I got to get myself together. So join us again every Tuesday. Join us on Sundays at 4520 Beach Road, Mission Impact Center,
Temple Hills, Maryland.
Leadership classes start at 10 a.m. Services start at 11 a.m.
All believers are leaders. All believers are made to be leaders. Yes.
Also join us on Wednesday nights for our Wednesday night Bible study. Wednesday night worship in the Word. As we are still in the book of Revelations. A revelation. So join us each and every week at Vision Impact Center. Hey, also join us on our Tuesday prayer calls at 12 p.m. Our global prayers. If you need the information, let us know, and we'll get you linked into our global prayer. Right.
We're also doing a discipleship group. You can join at your own pace. Each day we are doing different readings, discipleship teaching. We're going deeper in discipleship, just learning how to walk deeper in relationship with God. So also hit us up about that. We got a Facebook group, whole thing. We would love for you to join us.
So connect with us, so you can continue to grow spiritually, and so you can continue not only date God's way, but you can live God's way. God bless you guys. I'll see you sometime this week.
Yep, live God's way.